Hello, I'm Beth Britton, MBE. I support Dementia Community with their communications work. Welcome and thank you for joining us for today's webinar. Team Houston, together we make Agnes's life with dementia joyful. Before I introduce you to our presenters, I wanted to briefly explain a little more about Dementia Community. Dementia Community is a charitable community benefit society, a membership cooperative that provides learning and networking opportunities for the dementia care community. We are an independent voice and inclusive organisation, aiming to help all of our members to feel connected, informed, inspired, empowered, purposeful and engaged in co-produced changes that improve everyone's experiences of dementia, both in care and in wider society. This webinar is just one example of the many ways in which we do this. Community members own a £1 community share in Dementia Community, and membership is open to everyone. So if you aren't already a member, do join us. You can use the QR code on your screen or the link in the chat to visit our membership page. If you're having any difficulties in joining Dementia Community, please do message me and I will try to help. Now, before we begin with our presentation today and our fantastic guests, I have a couple of notices to share with you. Firstly, early bird tickets for the 20th UK Dementia Congress, which this year is being held at Doncaster Racecourse, are now available. If you are a Dementia Community member, you will enjoy a 10% discount on the early bird rate. So do use the QR code on your screen or the link in the chat to secure your single day or 2-day ticket for Tuesday the 17th of November and or Wednesday the 18th of November 2026. Please note that early bird tickets end on the 31st of August 2026. Secondly, I'd like to signpost everyone to our latest editor's pick from the Journal of Dementia Care. This is a free article chosen by the editor of JDC, shared to give you a taste of the content of the journal. Please use the QR code on the screen or the link in the chat to read the article. Remember, if you are a member, one of your discounts is a 25% off a subscription to JDC. So if you enjoy the editor's pick, do subscribe. And then finally, a thank you to the Unforgettable Foundation, who have kindly set up a GoFundMe page for Dementia Community's webinar programme. Our webinars are free to attend and we want to keep them this way to ensure access for all, but providing them does have cost implications for Dementia Community. This fundraiser intended to help meet these costs, and if you'd like to donate, please use the QR code on your screen or the link in the chat. Thank you. Now, before we begin, just some very brief housekeeping. So you should already have been alerted by Zoom that we are recording this webinar. Please use the chat for your questions. We have got 3 fantastic guests who would love to hear from you this afternoon with your questions to them. So please do pop those in the chat as we go along, and then I will share them with our presenters when we get to the Q&A. Afterwards, the recording of the webinar will go onto our YouTube channel, Dementia Community. So do look out for that as well. And the link for that is in the chat. You can find all our previous webinars there as well. So let's get started then. So our presenters for today are Agnes Houston MBE, who is an expert by experience, Donna Houston, who is a family care partner, and Mandy McBride, who is a PA and support worker. So welcome to all 3 of you. This is wonderful. Now we have some very, very brief little slides, but I don't know when you'd like those to start, Agnes. Do you want the slides to start now? Oh, I can't hear you, Agnes. You're on mute.
Is that us?
That's perfect. Hello.
Hi there. No, I'll just start talking. Is that okay, Beth?
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. If we flick onto the next slide, Rod, and then everyone
Okay.
can see the plan of what we're going to do. So you're going to hear from all 3 of our guests, and then we're going to get to the questions. So yeah, let's start talking. Agnes, off you go.
We'll see later. There we are. Am I okay to talk?
You are, yes.
Right. Okay then. Hi everybody, and thank you very much for coming today to listen a bit about how my journey has gone along. My name is Agnes Houston. 20 years ago, at the age of 57, I was a wife, mother, still working, a bit like Beth, actually. Just living my life, sometimes chaotic and sometimes just like everybody else. When I received the diagnosis of early onset dementia of the Alzheimer's type, my working life stopped at that point. And then when I spoke with the professionals and asked them about my heightened sensitivity to noise, to normal sounds, changes to taste, the awful smells that kept following me around everywhere, deterioration in my writing, my balance issues were atrocious, and my vision problems, depth perception, double vision, hallucinations. No explanation, no offers of help or rehabilitation. It was all about memory. I saw a nurse monthly, a dementia specialist nurse. She tested my memory. I didn't look forward to this visit. I wanted a more upbeat, less clinical model of care. My friend James McKillop, who also has dementia, and a lot of you might know him, he calls this the dark age of dementia. So the years passed. I thought, is this my life? Am I the only one having these issues? Because nobody else was talking about them. Nobody else was asking me about them. They just talked about memory. By this time, I had joined a dementia campaigning group and began attending conferences. And this is where I met others with dementia who had similar experiences I did. My experience from professionals in the dementia world, they did not understand me. Only people with a diagnosis of dementia did. They were kind. Not only did they listen, but they didn't judge. Instead, they shared honestly what it was like for them and gave solutions. This was a big turning point for me in my life, trying to live the best life I could through my personal sensory challenges and dementia. Through all of this, my daughter Donna listened, and together we looked for solutions. My vision was causing me so many challenges, the depth perception and the double vision that I spoke of, so much so I was going to the gym one morning when I was knocked down crossing the road. That's when I realised, because the people round about me were smelling my breath to see if I was drunk, looking in my eyes to see if I was on drugs. And this is when I thought enough is enough. I used the knowledge I gained through my campaigning to get help. I went to the optician, got my eyes tested, and my eyes were okay, perfect actually, when I had my glasses on. Then I requested to see a specialist. The GP referred me to the hospital ophthalmology department. Then, after many tests, I was told by a consultant, Mrs. Houston, my daughter was with us. I'm sorry to tell you, there is nothing more we can do for you. You have neurological vision impairment due to dementia, and it's at a stage where you need to be registered partially sighted, and I was put on the register. This was the first time I'd ever heard of anything like this. Then a year or so later, I found out by accident that because I was an army veteran, I could get assistance from the Scottish War Blinded, now known as Sight Scotland Veterans. It was magic. I walked through the doors at the Sight Scotland Veterans. They didn't disable me. They talked about rehabilitation. So they rehabilitated me back to being able to cook and how to travel safely. This didn't happen in the dementia world. I never understood why. In 2014, many years after I was diagnosed, at a European dementia conference being held in Glasgow, they had the biggest number of people living with dementia attending, 50 people living with dementia. It was amazing. It was amazing to see so many people with dementia in Glasgow from all over Europe. It was noisy, it was vibrant. It was so busy that we had to have 2 quiet rooms. People with dementia were complaining about their daily challenges. And guess what? Memory challenges were not the worst in the world for them. They were easy to overcome. It was their sensory challenges that was less understood. And it was causing problems in everyday life. Relationships were breaking up because of the sensory challenges. I wish you'd been there in the quiet room. The people with dementia were demanding off of me because I was chair of the Scottish Dementia Working Group. They were looking for answers. I had to go and get James McKillop and a couple of other people from the working group to answer their questions. And I'm an action person, so I said, right, I'm going out to find solutions. And I went on a mission and went out there, walking, army nurse, going like the hammers. And that's when I saw Life Changes Trust stand. They were people just starting out, and amongst other things, they gave funding to people living with dementia. Would you believe it? And I went back into the quiet room after speaking to them. I can't remember the name of the lovely lady in charge of it. And I said to all the people, and I banged on the tables and quietened them down and said, if I find funding and get funding, will you tell me your stories and we'll make a booklet and we'll hand it out and give it to people so they can read all your stories. This booklet and filmed interviews has been transcribed into many languages, including Braille, and is used in training as far away as China. And I believe it's still available on YouTube. That's how, so there wasn't any help. And it took a wee booklet to make people stand up and take notice. Life Changes Trust still receive emails, and it's transferred on to Age Scotland, who took over Life Changes Trust, saying, this booklet has saved my marriage. I was going to divorce my husband. He was accusing me of poisoning him, and this is what has made a difference to mine, and I'm still with my husband now. But I was perplexed because the professionals were still talking about memory and very little else. So the booklet was a success in a lot of ways, but not for me. So a carer, Anne Pascoe, at a conference said to me, why don't you apply for a Churchill Fellowship? Travel to research it on the sensory challenges. So I travelled to learn and returned to inspire. I interviewed audiologists, nutritionists, ophthalmologists, any ologist you can think of actually, dementia professionals, talked at universities in Australia, Canada and Ireland. And when I came back about my Churchill Fellowship, they said to me, you were supposed to take time off, Agnes, and see Australia and Canada and Ireland, not spend all your time working in universities. But I was so passionate about what I was doing. And these countries were desperate. I couldn't go anywhere, but they were wanting and pulling me in everywhere and anywhere. That's when I found out the proper words to describe what my symptoms were. Hyperacusis for my hypersensitivity to noises and ordinary noises, etc., and the word neurological vision impairment. Along the way, Donna and I produced the booklet that is up on the screen at the end. And then with the late Dr. Julie Christie from Hammond Care, I condensed it all into a book called Talking Sense. That was great. But the next thing that we needed to do was a design school. Because if the environment was causing so much hassle with our senses, let's get people with dementia together. So Hammond Care hosted us all, and we hosted the first design school for people living with dementia, and how the environmental changes could help us to be safe, how to ask for reasonable adjustments, for example, turn the music down, how to make it easy so that we weren't having to stay at home, we could still go out for a lunch. So that was great. And we were very, very pleased. And with the lovely Wendy Mitchell there. After the design school, the late Wendy Mitchell, she found an audiologist. And backed up with all the knowledge that we'd all gained, she went and talked about her sensitivity, her hyperacusis, use the right word. That's what we decided to do. And she found out that she needed hearing aids, and they were calibrated to Wendy's needs. And she has written a great blog. And although she sadly passed away, I think you can still get the blog. Then I went on to work with Sarah Brandt from Wales, an audiologist, scientist, and on dementia and hearing challenges. So I went all round Wales with Sarah and campaigned. And the great outcome from that was the Welsh guidelines on memory testing are, before any cognitive tests are carried out, a hearing assessment is performed first. Now that is amazing. I had found this out in Canada, and to think that it's happening in Wales is amazing for me. So in 2016, I was presented with an MBE in Buckingham Palace for my contributions to dementia. So over the past 20 years, and I know there's some people in the audience who've know me, things have changed for me. I've had to make adjustments over and over. This is including me moving out from my family home into the flat that I'm sitting in, a one-bedroom flat. This was a big environmental change that I made. It was to future-proof my life. The flat is a short walking distance from the main street. It features multiple retail shops, my GP surgery, my dental practice, optician, a library and a gym. I attend my gym 2 days a week, Wednesdays and Sundays, because I realise that to maintain a healthy lifestyle, I need to be able to get up out of a chair and be able to walk. And I need to put my effort in, but I can't do it alone. That's why I need Team Houston. I don't want to be isolated sitting in my flat. I want to be out in my community. I prepaid for my funeral, put into writing my end of life wishes. What helped with this was having an open and frank discussion with Team Houston. We all have a view, we're all equal, and it's reviewed annually or as and when, PRN, when it's needed. This was all part of the strategy to future-proof Agnes's life. So my abilities have continued to decline, but I have set my priorities after good chit-chat with Donna, Mandy, and Jenna, who's not here. My priorities are work, my crochet, meditation and mindfulness, yoga, nature walks, which, weather permitting and in Scotland, that can be precarious, things which soothe my mind. Maintaining my spiritual practice is very, very important. In fact, that was part of what I was doing this morning before this. I want to reduce stress, recharge my batteries, and keep the essence of who Agnes is for as long as possible. Another adaptation, which Beth was saying to me this morning, I've reduced my campaigning. It's mostly online now, and I focus on dementia research, university projects, and education, things that I believe that will make a difference for others who are coming behind me. So this has helped me to find the balance between campaigning and living the best life I can with dementia. In 2018, 12 years after my diagnosis, it became apparent that my daughter Donna needed support to help maintain my lifestyle while I gathered about doing all my campaigning, etc., and to keep me safe and secure and part of my community. And that is how Team Houston was established. That was our solution. I'm going to introduce you, and you will meet Team Houston. I'm going to introduce you now to my daughter Donna. She was and still is the wind beneath my wings. Those who know me know Donna from standing in the background. She supported me alone and helped me to follow my dreams and be all I can be. So thank you for listening. And here is Donna.
Hello, everyone. It's lovely to speak to you today. So we were sent some questions from Beth, and one of the questions was, in the last 20 years, how have I adapted to my mum's diagnosis? Well, I was told in 2006 that mum would have a few good years with dementia, and then some bad years with dementia, and then she'll end up in a nursing home. They also said that she will have 5 to 8 years to live, and that she'd probably had dementia for a few years. So they said, get your affairs in order, take a big holiday, and wait for the decline to happen. So we put our affairs in order. We went and seen the Grand Canyon. We rafted it. We flew over it. It was lovely. And my mum has some great memories from 2027. But this was very, very, very depressing. And there was nothing in our local community. And when we did see the early onset team, because my mum was 57, it's classed as early diagnosis. So we were kind of a bit of a loss. So my mum was introduced to the Scottish Dementia Working Group, which is a campaigning group for people with dementia. Now, although they give peer-to-peer support just in chatting to each other, it wasn't a support group, it was a campaigning group. And with campaigning, my mum found purpose and meaning and joy meeting others with dementia. It was an incredible change from the negativity we were getting in our local area. We went in 2011 to Toronto to an international conference, and at this point my mum's sensory issues became overwhelming. The carpet was a crazy psychedelic swirl, the place was extremely noisy, and there was many people there. So my mum was taken to a quiet room, and she was introduced to a lovely lady, Mary, who used a walker with a bicycle ring on her walker to warn people she was coming. And she told my mum, who had been diagnosed for 5 years, that she was just a baby in her dementia. And she gave us names for what was happening: hyperacusis, sensitivity to noise; neurological vision impairment, which is terrible with your depth perception, and when it's a swirly carpet or a shiny floor, it is just not very good. So we came back to Scotland thinking we've got the answers, but it took us my mum until 2017 to be diagnosed with neurological vision impairment and hyperacusis. And another question that we were saying, what's the 3 biggest things I've learned with my mum's diagnosis? And that is really to meet the person where they are today. What is their issue with the present moment? Is it sensory? Is it food? Is it their balance? Are they disorientated? Just keep calm and try and be a detective to find out what is the problem. And if it is the environment, Mary Marshall, a very intelligent person, has done quite a lot of things on dementia and design. The other thing that I learned was campaigning gave my mum purpose and connection, but we also established a routine which included exercise. So we incorporated yoga and meditation, and she still has her spiritual practices. The biggest thing I've learned is the peer-to-peer support from other people with dementia. Now, I must say that 80% of the people that I meet during the campaigning were able to communicate their needs, and they had the self-awareness to know that they had dementia and needed to make adjustments. I'm very aware that there are many people with dementia who have difficulty in communication and difficulty with accepting their diagnosis or remembering they have one, and I'm very conscious of that. But on our campaigning, what we did was we decided in 2018 that I needed more support because it was only me, and also my dad had dementia, Alzheimer's and vascular at the same time. So I really, really felt that I needed some input from somewhere because it'd been a long journey. So with an advocate, because the social work wasn't listening to me as the daughter, we applied for self-directed support. Now, self-directed support is a Scottish initiative where if you're assessed for social work care, you can ask for a budget yourself from the social work budget to manage the care rather than the sort of 4 15-minute visits, which was used to be the normal. They also suggested with the budget we use it to get telecare, and the telecare is Sol Connect support online, and it's a bit like an alarm service, but you press the buzzer and you actually speak to a person on the screen in real time. And this has been massive in helping my mum manage her medication, orientate to time and place, and feel as if she is supported even in the middle of the night, because it's a 24/7 service. So with the other part of the budget, we were able to hire personal assistants or support workers, and we have managed to get the most amazing support workers. And with the Team Houston, we realise it's possible with reliable support, with a weight off our shoulders, because a problem shared is a problem halved. We've also discovered that you can anchor things in long-term memory, because if you're diagnosed early enough, you can put things in place so they become routine. And this is something that we have done. We were also asked about a light bulb moment, and I've had quite a few in the last 20 years. I was told in 2007, not to help my mum to do things if she can still do it, because this would de-skill her, which gives me a great excuse to sit on the couch when mum makes dinner. And I do offer to wash the dishes though. And this has helped very much for mum to retain her skills. The other light bulb moment was people with dementia are experiencing reality differently, and this is literal. Their eyes are telling them the floor is not solid. Their ears are telling them that someone's calling their name, and the smell is telling them that the house is on fire. And these are all real feelings. But there's a great book called Hallucinations by Oliver Sacks, and he's done great work online. He's sadly passed away, but he's got great talks online about communication and hallucinations. So just to clarify and to wind things up, the Dementia and Sensory Challenges film is on YouTube. You basically put in Dementia and Sensory Challenges, scroll down a few bits, and you will get a 20-minute film of people with dementia talking about their sensory issues. And what's lovely about this is at least half of the people who are in the film are still in the community, alive and well as we speak. And that's 12 years later. If you get a chance to go to meetings and conferences, I definitely think it's something that someone should do to get what the up-to-date research is on dementia. And again, mentioning the swirly carpets, a last shout out to Mary Marshall, who has done a lot of good work on environments. So I would like to thank you very much for listening.
Pass on to Mandy. Here's Mandy.
Thank you, Donna, and thank you, Agnes. I'm Mandy, and I'm the other part of Team Houston. I'll just start by saying we are missing someone this afternoon, and her name's Jenna. Jenna's the Saturday girl who's here. She's good at the tech, and she's young and brings something else to the team. But as Donna just said, we have Soul Connect as part of our team. Donna, the main lady herself, is Agnes, and I'm Mandy here myself. I'm Agnes's PA stroke support worker. I've helped Agnes to navigate living a full and fulfilled life with dementia. We've worked together now for just over a year, but we have known each other for many years previous to that in the dementia community. My visit is now labelled Mandy's Mondays. We do lots of things. We communicate via WhatsApp. We have a group, and we tend to have a week ahead of what we plan on doing. That doesn't always work out. We can go here or there, but on a Monday we attend Mass at the local hospice. This helps Agnes keep her spiritual journey, which she is at the top of her list, and we do this. And we also afterwards we attend the cafe within the hospice and speak to some of the people there. Now this can bring challenges as we need to check Agnes's environment to all these places that we attend. There can be problems, maybe the aircon's too much. So we speak to the staff. So the staff are now very well aware of Agnes Houston, Team Houston, and they'll maybe adjust the aircon. It might be too cold in the room. Again, it's Agnes's sensory, so we get that sorted. But people have been very kind and understanding. So yes, anywhere we go, we do a wee check first. Whether it be the heat, the sound, the gym can cause quite some problems with the music blaring. So we've now got cancelling. We've actually just picked up this afternoon some cancelling, the headphones today. So hopefully they'll help with the noise in the gym. But the sensory, we can come up against things, but we always try and solve each problem as they arise. Any social meeting involves making sure the temperature, the noise, the environment is not disruptive or distracting for Agnes. Recently, we've had to ask the staff to understand, and that can be difficult sometimes because people don't realise sensory, and we're getting that out there though every time we're coming up against this. We proudly explain why we're asking for these changes to be made. And people, I've got to say, certain people have been very helpful. Other people don't understand so much, and that's why we need to keep on at this. Also alongside me, as I say, there's Jenna, and Jenna works on a Saturday with Agnes and helps her with any technical things she has to do, emails that need to be sent. I tend to do doctor's appointments. We also go, we bake. Jenna enjoys baking as well at the weekends. I'm a very good support worker. I'm not a very good interviewee. I'm jumping here and reading bits, things that we do in Agnes's life that she enjoys. As I say, Mandy's Mondays, we go to the hospice. We also get Agnes's shopping in for the week. We kind of set out meals as well, what's going to be cooked, what we're going to need for those meals. And Agnes, that again, the shops that we go to tend to be the shops that Agnes feels comfortable in. I was also asked a question, just like Donna had explained there, what makes being an assistant rewarding to me. And a part of that is providing companionship and assistance in a safe environment for Agnes and to help her to live here in her own home. And the other question was the special moments. What's there been a special moment for me working with Agnes? Is it something we've done? No, because we do special moments a lot. Attending the hospice, going to the local grotto. We do lots of special moments. But I had one very special moment recently with Agnes. We'd had lunch, we'd been at the hospice, we'd had lunch and we came back and Agnes was sitting straight across from me and she looked up and out the blue she said that we at Team Houston make her feel very safe, secure and extremely well supported. To hear that, that's my special moment. That's what's really, really important to me. That's what makes this job so much more worthwhile. That gives myself, Donna and Jenna a huge lift. What we're doing right. So hopefully that will continue. Team Houston is definitely a massive positive, which will continue to strengthen because we're always trying to find other ways of making Agnes laugh, smile and making her life fulfilled with happiness, joy, and joyful is the word that we like to use. I'll always try to support but not overpower. Imagine being a pole in a tent. It takes a few of you but always try and keep things positive and light and make life joyful. Thanks for listening to me. Cheers.
Thank you, Mandy.
Thank you. I have loved listening to all of you. As you know, I said to Agnes earlier that Agnes and I had never worked together, but Agnes referenced there at 2014, the Alzheimer Europe conference, when everyone was around you saying, help, sort this out.
Yeah.
And that's where I met you and Donna, and I haven't seen you for ages since, and I've never met Mandy. So to listen to all your stories was just absolutely lovely. And what you said there, Mandy, at the end about your rewarding moment and how just making Agnes feel safe and happy and fulfilled was just such a lovely thing. I remember when my dad said to me, he lived with dementia, he'd lost a lot of his language, but he said to me one Christmas, completely out the blue, he said, thank you for everything. And it just took my breath away. And you're right, it is those moments where you know you've made a difference. But, I had one like that with my mum recently. She's had an accident and I've had a little moment like that with her as well, where she just said to me, oh, you're so kind. And it's just little things like that, I think, that do help when you're supporting somebody. So that has been fantastic. And I've picked up on so much of what you've talked about, from obviously the sensory stuff, which Agnes that's the thing you are most well known for. You've brought this to the fore in a way that nobody else has. And I know that made a huge difference to Wendy. It was lovely to hear you mention Wendy. She was a very dear friend, and obviously that was a huge part of her life. Environmental work, goodness, this is so important, and how you future-proofed your life, because it's important for you to maintain that independence with your lovely team around you. And you said, I don't want to be isolated, I want to be out and about in my community. And maybe that's a little action for all of us at the end of today. If we're supporting someone wherever they are, to get them out and about in their community, because actually, why should people be shut away? My dad was, or they tried to. That would have been the plan for my dad if it hadn't been for us. So, yeah, that was just brilliant. Thank you so much. Now, before we get to the questions, I do want to pop the slide on the screen. So, my lovely tech support, Rod, we have a slide which talks about some of the resources that Agnes, Donna and Mandy have sort of alluded to. So we're going to pop that up on the screen for you just so that you can see what they are. Now, we've put some links in the chat already, but those are the books. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Agnes, on what we've got on the screen there before we get to the questions?
No, that looks good. There is a lot more, but that's sufficient for today, I think.
Yeah, brilliant. And there you go. You got the links from me and Rod straight into the chat for you. Thank you, Rod. It's like we're like buses. It all comes along at once. The links that are on the screen are in the chat for you as well, and they will be on the description on the YouTube recording as well, so that you've got those, because they were absolutely fantastic. Right, let's get to the Q&A. Let's lose the slide, and let's get to a little bit of Q&A. And we'll see how far we get. I know we pre-prepared some questions, but we'll see how we get. So first and foremost, there was support, Agnes, for just people very happy to see you. So Steve Kennedy's with us today. He says he hopes that you and Donna are well, and he was looking forward to.
Hi there. Hi.
And Sue Benson, one of my lovely colleagues, said it's so lovely to see you, Agnes. So I remember your address to our Scottish conference shortly after your diagnosis, where you spoke so very movingly about your experience. Your work since then has been so really revealing and so helpful, and I would agree with that as well. So let me get to the question. So the first one then, and this is for Donna. Thank you for sharing your perspective. Really interesting. Can I ask how old were you when Agnes was diagnosed? If you're happy to share, Donna.
Oh,
32, 33. So I just got into a new relationship and everything was looking well, and then we got the diagnosis of dementia. So my late partner supported me to support my mum and my dad. He was very selfless in that way. He was the wind beneath my wings. So yeah, but it was very young when people were thinking about careers and children and things like that. One point I didn't get across is there sometimes an assumption that someone will give up their work to look after the person, and I did give up my work because I found it quite overwhelming dealing with both my mum and my dad at the same time, and my granddad who had dementia as well. It got very messy. So the kind of calm, the patience and all the yoga and meditation, it eventually did work, but the first few years was quite difficult.
Definitely. Thank you, Donna. So just on the point about sort of noise cancelling headphones and things like that, someone's popped in the chat. Loop earplugs are brilliant for noise cancelling and very discreet.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you. I've got loopy ear, but we found out that anything that for me that I put inside my ear, I've got narrow ear canals according to the specialists, and that they irritate and help aggravate. What is it?
Earwax.
Earwax, and so they suggested recently everything is to be over the ear. Not very easy when you're in the gym or doing that, but the other day in the gym I had both on. I had noise cancelling and the loop in to try and stop the loud noise, but thank you for suggesting that. You also asked about other books. There's a book here, I don't know if you can read it, it's called Challenging Assumptions Around Dementia, User-Led Research and Untold Stories. This is a very great book as well. Chris Maddox, Willie Gilder, myself, and Rosalie Ashwood. So that is a good one if anybody wants to.
I think I've found that one, Agnes, so I'm going to pop that one in the chat as well. I'm hoping that's the right one. I've just popped.
One of the other ones is we've done a little booklet because a lot of people living with dementia have sleep challenges. I had one as well, which is why Donna and I no longer can share a room when we're away. We try not to because I keep it awake. But we wrote that up as well. That's a peer-to-peer from the alumni. So if you go on, you can get a lot of books we wrote in the alumni, about 5 or 6 of them. Sorry?
It's on Age Scotland.
And it's all, Donna says it's on Age Scotland. So I just thought I would, when you said that, and Mary Marshall's book, have you got that one?
I don't think I have. Talking Murals. No, I haven't.
Yeah, a lot of the care homes were using murals to, well, Donna, you explain that, the things, bookcases to keep you in.
Yes, in the dark ages of dementia, they used design against people with dementia. So they would hide doors as paint them like bookcases, so people wouldn't escape, for the want of a better word, and would paint black lines on the floor because people with dementia seen that as a hole, so it would contain them it was very it was very horrible using design against people with dementia in nursing homes.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, what it brings to my head, Beth, is that they knew about design and dementia and how it affected people, but they used it against the people, not to assist them to go outside. They were using it to make them contain them and not use the design to make it so that we could go outside safely. Yeah. So that's it. Thank you very much.
I would entirely agree with you, Agnes. My dad had a fake door knocker and fake other things stuck on his care home door, and it caused so much confusion for him and many others. So I'm entirely with you on that. And I think Stirling University have done a lot of work around this to try and educate people that this really isn't the way forward. We also did a webinar last year with Worcester, and again, they said, get rid of the fake. They gave an example of a fake bookcase where people had been trying to pull the books off the walls and they couldn't, and the distress for those individuals was just immense. So no, this is all excellent work, and I've tried to harvest some links as you've talked and pop them in the chat, so hopefully I've got those right. Okay, so I want to read you Steve Kennedy's message because I think I should read it to you because I don't want you to miss it.
I love Steve.
Hello, Agnes. I first met you at Deep Get Together in 2017 in Edinburgh. We spoke that day at length, and you personally gave me so much information about our condition. We have now worked together many times, along with Donna. I've always held you in such high regard, and you truly are my inspiration. You continue to knock down all the barriers that dementia has laid in your path. I was told at my diagnosis in 2016 I had 5 to 7 years of life left. To meet you was a completely eye-opening experience for me. Now, 10 years later, I try and help with the life experience that I have gained. This is because of the light inside me that you lit on that fateful day. May God continue to bless you and guide you both. Team Houston have and continue to be a beacon of hope and inspiration for so many people who live with our condition. Donna, the love that you have for your mummy just oozes from you, and I am certain that you have, without any doubt, been the guiding star for your mummy. So just a lovely message that I couldn't not read because I didn't want you to miss it. So that's lovely. And moving on, and there's lots of lovely little emojis popping up the screen. Somebody's popped in the chat. I work within ECL Sensory Service, providing rehabilitation services for individuals living with sight loss, hearing loss, and dual sensory loss across the whole of Essex. I'm so glad to have joined this afternoon. We can completely relate to the barriers faced with sensory challenges. We have a segment called a Sensory Action Alliance for businesses and organisations to really consider, adapt and make changes for individuals with sight loss, hearing loss and dual sensory loss, and it's free to join. So do look that up if you're interested in that, everybody.
I want to join.
You want to join? That's a bit of a long way from you, Agnes, but I'm sure they'd have you. Lois says Team Houston is an absolute inspiration. This lady met you 12 years ago, and Agnes, you are amazing and have a lasting memory from them too. Your team is now bigger, and as I have said, an inspiration. We all have this going on in our lives. Marie, thank you very much for sharing. And your magic moment was when my dad looked at me and said, "You get me, don't you?" Which I like that. That's very nice for a daughter to hear that. Have I got any questions? There's a lot to go down here. Lynn, lovely Lynn is with us. Lynn joins a few of our webinars. Lynn Hagan, Living with Dementia. Agnes and Wendy were inspirational to me when I was diagnosed with dementia, and I've personally benefited so much from the information I've gleaned. We've got an OT who's similarly inspired by you. OT journeying with people with dementia, sensory sensitivities and enabling environments are my particular passions. Be assured I continue to raise these important issues in my daily work, and you've motivated Sarah to continue to do that. Care coordinator who wasn't aware of some of the things such as sensory issues with regard to dementia. So thank you so much. There you go, Agnes. We can still reach people with this messaging. We all think of this as really old stuff that's been around for ages, but actually it really isn't. It's often new. So I'm really glad that somebody's learned something today. We've got another little link in the chat there. Someone else who's met you, Agnes and Donna Lorraine.
Hi, Lorraine.
Manchester Deep. We had a wonderful time sharing our dementia experiences. Lucy Whitman, likewise. Dear Agnes and Donna, lovely to see you today. Thanks so much for this inspiring session. I have a question. I knew I would get to the bottom of these and have a question, and I have got one. Thank you, Kate. Question for Agnes. You are a true inspiration. Thank you for everything you've done to educate and raise awareness of young onset dementia and the sensory issues you face. You've made a career out of being an activist. You said you were 57 when you were diagnosed. Were you working at the time?
I was working when I had the symptoms of dementia, and I worked with a chiropractor. I was a nurse, trained nurse, and I went to work with a chiropractor, and it was him that noticed that my writing and things were getting challenging. And then it got so bad at one of our sessions, he could hear, it was an open plan surgery, he could hear me, and he said to me after the Saturday morning surgery, he said, Agnes, I'm sorry, we've had meetings and we've decided that you should go to your GP, don't come back to work until you've got a diagnosis. They were thinking it might have been a brain tumour with the symptoms that I was showing. I was developing x-rays and working x-ray machines and couldn't teaching because I brought an extra member of staff to help me. And I was teaching the girl how to work the machine, and then an hour later was asking her to show me. And that was when I left that Saturday and I never got back. And you know, the funny thing is, and I want to mention this and thank for whoever asked me the question, I was so embarrassed with the word dementia when I got diagnosed with dementia of the Alzheimer's type. When I went back to work, I said, I've got cognitive impairment. I found that more palatable, and I didn't find it such a stigma. You know, and I found out that the people that are in the place, they were getting told that it was a type of cancer I had. So people were frightened of dementia in that time, but I'm now proud to say that I have a diagnosis of dementia. I didn't ask for the diagnosis. I didn't ask to have to leave my work. But my consultant said to me, and this is a long answer, but my consultant said to me, Dr. Benej, he said, Mr. Benej, he said, Agnes, do you want to go back to work? Because I will say, you know, you are capable of work, but I would go into the head office and do more paperwork rather than working with the public. He said, or do you want to enjoy life? What you ask yourself that question, is work more important to you or enjoying life? And I made the decision that enjoying life, you know. So that's the answer to that question. I think someone else was asking a question about funding.
Yes, there is one. Yes. So I'll just mention Sarah's comment. She says, I visit care homes recently. One had a bookshelf wallpaper, another had their room doors painted as a front door with a fake letterbox and a fake door knocker. I saw that only on LinkedIn again yesterday as well. So there you go, Agnes. We can't give up. We've got to keep going.
You know, and then just give us a name and I'll go and visit them. I'll self-fund it and go and visit them and spend the whole day telling them why they shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Give them alternatives.
Yes, absolutely. Right, so yes, there is a question. Is Team Houston self-funded? So I'm guessing people are probably curious about how you fund the support that you have.
So it comes from the 2013 law passed self-directed support. So it takes the funding that the social work would have used to give you the 4 visits every 15 minutes, 7 days a week, and they take that money and it gets transferred into a budget. So it is social work money, so it's not self-funding, So it's social work money that you have as a budget, and you can then spend on care hours, but care hours from someone that's maybe self-employed, so that you get a more tailored. So my mum doesn't need 50 minutes. It would harass her and mean she'd have to stay in the house as well. So yes, it's funded in Scotland under self-directed support social work.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Donna. Yeah, and you
Yeah, and
mentioned that earlier, and that would be findable online, obviously, as well.
Yeah.
That information.
You could maybe say that there's 4 levels of self-directed support, yeah?
Yeah, the self-directed support is based in Scotland just now. It's not rolled out. It is in Scotland just now, and then you need to then build your own care package.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not easy because Donna has to do the books. Agnes and I sit back and let Donna do the books, but she does have to, you become your own accountant and stuff. So it's not an easy ride, but if you've got the tools, use them. If you're in Scotland and you're able to do that, then self-directed support's great because you can tailor your own care, buy your own package.
But not everyone gets
But
it.
not everybody gets it. It's very specialised.
Option 1, option 2, option 3, option 4.
Yeah, there's sort of 4 options with your budget. You can have a care.
Mm-hmm.
I'm looking for the word. A care company hold the budget, and you get care from that company. You can get partially funded care support from a company and pay for someone private. But the option that we've went through just in the last year was that we hold the budget. We have our own accounts, and the social work fund the telecare, because that was their suggestion and it's worked well. And then the rest of the budget we have is dispensed monthly, and then we do the accounts.
There's the book.
So that's but it's solely Scotland.
Thank you. Well, I've had some information in the chat. So we've got self-directed supporters also available in Northern Ireland.
All right.
So that would be useful for people to know. And of course, self-directed support equals a personal budget in England. And I was just going to pop into the chat the link to Think Local Act Personal. So TLAP have done a lot of work around helping people who want to employ personal assistants and things like that. They've got information on their website. And there's always your local citizens advice, because as somebody I think has pointed out in the chat, I'm sure I saw it, yes, social workers don't mention it. So for many people, you wouldn't.
Yes. Ironically, we went to all the boarding meetings way back in 2011, 2012, so we knew about it. But we were actually told to our faces by social work that my mum would never get self-directed support. That's why we got an advocate from an advocacy company to come and challenge that, because it's without going through the assessment, announcing the result from the assessment is discrimination. But we had a big fight on our hands, even though we knew about self-directed support from 2013. But some areas are better at it than others, and our area wasn't particularly good.
Yeah, I remember I get told quite frankly by the professionals that I would not pass their assessment. But I had been talking at Stirling University. Do you know, the fun thing is, when they were starting this self-directed support at the beginning, I was at that many meetings that they thought I was a member of staff. So when they were doing the staff meeting, I got invited to it, and I get shown the ins and outs of how they would come and assess people living with dementia. And you are correct, not every local authority was for it, but it's definitely, so all the boarding meetings I attended had worked for my benefit. So knowledge is power, and it certainly worked for me.
Most definitely, Agnes. And I think for anyone who's uncertain, speak to somewhere like Citizens Advice. That's probably a very good signpost. And advocacy also, likewise, you've mentioned having an independent advocate, incredibly important and helpful and useful, I think. We're getting very much close to the end of this. We've got lots and lots of comments that have come in the chat. Someone's asking for a link for the telecare. So I don't know if you
Oh, I
have
might.
it you can send to us. All knowledge is power is brilliant.
Have you got this book?
I have got a link to that on the Dementia Community website. I know I've got all the knowledge is power. There's a Welsh one, an English one. There's lots of good ones. They're fantastic, and they were made by Innovations in Dementia as well. So they're just a fantastic resource.
So the telecare company is called Sol Connect, which is support online. But I've got a funny feeling they're only based in this region of North Lanarkshire and South Lanarkshire. I don't think. But if you Google telecare, but it was actually the social work that advocated for some type of telecare because there was a couple of options available.
Yeah, super. So again, it's one of those things to probably dig around about
Yeah.
for wherever you live to find out what's available. Don't just take
Yeah.
what you're told. Go and have a bit of a dig. Be curious, like Team Houston. I'm going to have to wrap this up, ladies. It's been amazing. There's so many lovely comments in the chat, and we just thank everybody for your lovely words of support because that's super kind. I want to leave everybody with your light bulb moment, and I want that to be on the recording. So, Donna, you shared a few. I don't know if you have another very quick one you want to share.
I think it's just the contentment that my mum feels in the last couple of years, feeling supported. And also the light bulb moment is the support online has prevented my mum going into hospital 3 times because the ambulance men said, we're actually comfortable with you. If you're distressed again, press the buzzer and they'll phone the ambulance and the ambulance will come out. But if you feel confident to stay in your home, you can stay with that support. So it saves money from the NHS as well as the benefit for emotional well-being of that feeling of support. And I feel the support because I don't have to worry where my mum, because they would phone me if they can't get in touch with her, they'd give me a phone on my mobile and go, is your mum in a wee jaunt? So that's a good moment.
You got a light bulb.
Right, Mandy, you might light bulb moment.
I'll just finish off by saying team pulling together people that important really, really helps. Yeah. Stay positive and stick together. Nice meeting you, Beth.
Thank you so much, Mandy. Go on, final word to Agnes before I wrap up. Agnes, your light bulb moment, the one thing you want to leave everybody with.
Be a detective. That's what I say. Be a detective. Don't take at face value you'll only live 5 to 7 years. You've got Google it, find out, ask others, get your peer support around you, and then be a detective and find out what works for you and surround yourself with that. Mine's is Team Houston. So thank you, Beth. It's been wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you all so much. I've loved it. I looked forward to this. We planned this months ago. So thank you very much to Agnes, to Donna and to Mandy for your fantastic contributions this afternoon. And there's so many lovely messages and so many lovely emojis popping up the screen as well. So thank you. Thank you so much. So our last webinar before we take a break in August is Help Change the Future, Join Dementia Research, and it is on Monday the 20th of July. Do visit the webinars page on our website to grab your ticket for that, and do follow us on Eventbrite. That's the first place when you'll get that little ping into your inbox that tells you we've got another webinar ready for you to book onto, and we will have all of our autumn programme going on in the next 2 or 3 months. So thank you all so much for joining us today. Thank you again to my fantastic Team Houston, and we look forward to seeing you again on a Dementia Community webinar soon. Thank you.